Welcome to this explainer. Today we're illuminating, literally, the history of human progress. We're looking at our absolute conquest over darkness through one, honestly, seemingly mundane object that you might just have sitting on a shelf right now, the humble oil lamp. We completely take light for granted today, right? Flip a switch, there it is. But to really grasp human history, we have to look back at how we first pushed back that dark.
Okay, think about this quote from our source material for a second. Night is banished forever by a burning lump of fat. I love this because it perfectly captures the sheer magnitude, the raw, gritty reality of an invention that finally freed humanity. Before this, we were entirely at the mercy of the setting sun. When the sun went down, that was it. Human activity just stopped. The dark was absolute, and honestly, it was dangerous. So this simple act of burning fat, it literally changed the entire trajectory of our species. We reclaimed the night.
Section 1. Banishing the Night, the Prehistoric World.
Now, at its core, an oil lamp is incredibly simple. It's really just a vessel containing flammable oil with a slow-burning wick designed to draw up that fuel from the reserve. So, why are we getting bogged down in definitions? Because tracking how those three simple elements evolved is basically tracking human history itself. As our ancestors picked up new skills, found new materials, and built way more complex societies, every single part of this three-piece system got a massive upgrade.
We are bridging a huge gap today. We're spanning 4 major milestones in the history of illumination. We'll kick things off with ancient stone crucibles way back in 80,000 BCE, move right through the dawn of agriculture, check in on the Roman Empire, and then land right at the dawn of the Industrial Revolution in 1780. All right, let's wind the clock all the way back to around 80,000 BCE. Picture early humans living entirely off the land, desperate for a way to push back the terrifying prehistoric night. Well, they sparked a literal revolution by just taking what was lying around. They grabbed unworked stones or seashells to use as the vessel. They filled those up with animal fat for fuel, and the wick, just a piece of nearby vegetation. It was crude, it was probably unbelievably messy, but hey, it worked. It was our very first major victory over the dark.
Section 2. The Agricultural Spark. Growing our own fuel.
Fast forward to 10,000 BCE. We're in the Upper Paleolithic period, the Stone Age, and human civilization hits this monumental shift. Settled agriculture begins. We stop wandering and we start planting the very first crops. But here's the wild part. Farming didn't just give us a reliable food supply, it actually allowed us to grow our own fuel. With crop cultivation came plant oils, olive oil being the big one, and that replaced all that smoking, sputtering animal fat. Suddenly the oil lamp burns so much cleaner and brighter, transforming it from this gritty survival tool into a profound symbol used in rituals and ceremonies.
In fact, these early plant oil lamps became so deeply embedded in human culture, carrying such immense significance, that you'll find them heavily referenced in major religious texts. Both the Bible and the Quran have numerous references to oil lamps. See, they were no longer just utilitarian objects. They had become these enduring, powerful symbols of divine light, spiritual power, and human enlightenment.
It's honestly fascinating to track this progress side by side. Look at this. In 80,000 BCE, we're using found objects, stones, seashells, filled with animal fat and raw vegetation. Then, jump to 10,000 BCE, and settled agriculture has completely leveled up the entire system. We've got crafted pottery vessels holding specially cultivated olive oil, burning on refined fibers. Looking at this, it's not just a timeline of a lamp. It's a direct snapshot of humanity transitioning from nomadic hunter-gatherers into settled agricultural societies.
Section 3. Romans and Dimmer Days, a step backward.
By the time we hit the Roman Empire, the oil lamp wasn't just a luxury or a ceremonial item anymore. The Romans brought this utility to the absolute masses by mass-producing clay lamps. And we know this for a fact because of an incredible historical time capsule. In 79 CE, the infamous eruption of Mount Vesuvius over Pompeii buried a completely newly made batch of these exact mass-produced clay lamps. Preserved perfectly under the ash, they show us just how common and completely essential these little items had become to everyday ancient life.
But here is where the story takes a super ironic twist. As the Roman Empire fell and we dragged into the Middle Ages, popular lighting technology, it actually went backward. During the Middle Ages, candles became the hot new thing. But the reality is, a candle never produced a flame nearly as bright as the ancient oil lamp. So for hundreds of years, while candles were all the rage, the average interior was actually dimmer than it had been during the height of the Roman era. It's a crazy example of how technology doesn't always march in a straight line forward.
Section 4.
The final flame, industrial innovation.
The year 1780. Everything changed right here. This year stands as an absolute turning point in the timeline of human illumination. The pressure of the 18th century Industrial Revolution was building, and it demanded better, brighter, and way more efficient ways to see and work after dark.
Enter a scientist named M.A. Argand. In 1780, he completely shattered millennia of stagnation. He developed the argon lamp, which was this brilliant new design featuring a metal casing. And this wasn't just some minor tweak. This lamp burned oil with a steady, entirely smokeless flame. It was dramatically brighter than literally anything that had come before it. Argand effectively perfected the ancient formula, creating the absolute, undeniable peak of oil lamp technology, before electricity.
So, to recap this wild journey, Step 1, we start with stone, seashells, and animal fat. Step 2, the agricultural revolution levels us up to crafted clay and olive oil. Step 3, Aimé Argand rides the Industrial Revolution to give us metal casings and a bright, smokeless flame. But that peak? Pretty short-lived. Step 4 arrives with the advent of electric lighting, which finally laid this civilizational technology to rest, pretty much extinguishing the era of the oil lamp for good.
So where does that actually leave us today? Well, the humble oil lamp is now almost entirely obsolete as a primary light source. You probably just have one on a mantelpiece for decoration, right? Yet, it's so interesting, we still instinctively reach for these exact same vessels of light when our modern electrified grid completely fails us during a power cut. The technology might be dormant, but our reliance on it? That's still hardwired into us the second the darkness creeps back in.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder from today's explainer. The next time the modern grid fails, your whole house goes black, and you strike a match in the dark to light a simple, decorative oil lamp, will you realize what you're actually doing? You aren't just lighting a wick. You are actively summoning 80,000 years of ancient power. You're participating in humanity's oldest, most enduring, and honestly most successful rebellion against the night.